It is 21 minutes after the hour, and Claira Curtis joins us this morning. And had the privilege to know Claira for many years, and she is the one that really got me started in making sure I wore the right colored clothes and that kind of thing. Claira, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for being with us today. And Claira has announced that she will be a candidate for the mayor of Sylacauga in August, of course, in the municipal elections. And if I'm right on this, until recently, you had no desire to run for mayor.
Was not going to run up until last week. Had no desires whatsoever. Numerous people had encouraged me to do so, but it was not something that I wanted to do or was going to do. Should not say wanted to do. I just didn't feel the need to do.
What triggered your change of heart?
Well, one of the main people that had encouraged me to run for 3 years had been Larry Edmonds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Larry believed in me, and so does a lot of other people believe in me. And he had been very forceful in our poet group, of which, we've worked tirelessly. And every time I'd see Larry, he'd say, I wished you'd consider it. I wished you'd consider it. Well, I just said, Larry, I'm just not ready yet. Hadn't had that answer to my prayer yet. Because I did pray. I'm a believer that all things come together if you believe. Mm-hmm. And I had asked God to give me some direction as to where I needed to go, what I needed to do. And I never got that answer. So I just said, well, it wasn't something that I needed to do. I had spoke with Larry just a week prior to his death. And the last thing he said, I wished you'd really consider it. And I said, well, I'm just not there yet. And he said, well, what do we have to do to get you there? And I said, well, I've been praying about it. He said, well, maybe we need to pray some more then. So I realized that when Larry died that maybe I had an obligation because he believed in me, and that was the thing that spurred me on. And then there were other circumstances the very next day that said, yes, I can do this.
Claira Curtis, our guest this morning on Daybreak, and you organized the environmental protection group POET, and I know that really you're concerned about a lot of things in our community and in the state of Alabama, including the environment.
Indeed, and we almost must become very concerned about our environment because so many illnesses is caused from what's in the air, what's in the water, and we need to make some changes. We need to start protecting our environment and our natural resources. And I was instrumental in starting POET and have had some great people behind it, and we've made some headway. Slow, but we did make some headway, and I hope the citizens of Sylacauga are able to enjoy a little bit of it. Our quality of life has been totally destroyed for 5 years with our air quality, not to mention the water quality.
And that's had to have been frustrating for yourself and many others in this local area.
Well, it was very frustrating for me, and this is the reason that I wanted to organize us, because when I started, there were little groups all over town griping and complaining and trying to go to city council, trying to get something done, and nothing seems to be accomplished. So we decided to join forces together and organize a group. And frustrating would not even begin to say the word. When you get ready to go to bed at night and you have to cover your head up to breathe. I live in a house across town from it, but it's a very well constructed house and it breathes. And when the fumes would permeate into my home, it was just there. It would not go away. I mean, it was in there and it was going to stay. It's not like it circulates outside. So I began our group, and we've been pretty successful. We hope to become more successful very shortly.
What have you in mind if elected as mayor of Sylacauga?
Well, one of the things, Jimmy, is not just the environment that I'm concerned about. I've gone before the council many times about other issues, the red light that we wanted on Quarry Park Street. I'm a fighter, but I'm also know how to work very hard, and I think that that's my direction, is to work hard, because I feel like the citizens in this town are like most all over the United States, and that is we're one paycheck away from poverty. That includes me. Can I do anything about that? I hope. But the one thing I want to be is a leader. And a leader is the horse that draws the team, that harnesses the team to move. I can't do it all alone, and I make no promises. But I do promise people that for 4 years, I work very hard, because I do work very hard at everything I do. And I will try my very best to get our team to produce a town where we feel proud of it and that we feel that we're moving in the right direction. And will I bring the jobs in immediately? No, because we got 67 counties in this state with every one of them with their hands held out wanting a job. And we'll just have to wait, but there are ways to do it, and that takes a good leader to get it. And it's not just my town, it's everybody's town. And the whole team is not the city council, it's not the mayor. It is everybody that lives here. They've all got to put forth an effort and make some changes.
I think I'm right on this. You would be the first female to ever hold the mayorship position in the city of Sylacauga. I think I'm right on that.
I think you are. I remember one lady that ran, but let's say something right here up front, because you know we're living in a very changed world, and women are able to do things that probably they never did before. It's not just a man's world any longer. It's all of our world. And as a woman, we need to look around in this town and see the successful programs that we've had. The two major ones that we get acclamations from is run by women. They were organized and they run by women, and that's SAFE in the library. I admire those ladies, and I'm not going to say that I put myself in the same category with them, but I certainly would like to try. And then there was another incident that in this town that people may have forgotten, but a few years ago, a group of young women wanted to change the park system. They wanted new parks for their kids to play in. Had a vision. Did they go out and do it? Yes, they did. I don't think they ever got the main credit for it, but it was their vision, it was their drive to get it done, and they got it done. And that's the kind of thing that I would like to do for our city, is have a drive, but also to have a vision that we can be better than we are. We're no different than most cities throughout the United States. We're all looking for jobs, we're all hungering for jobs, but there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it. And I feel like I know the right way, and I'd like to be the leader in this town to get that started.
Obviously, there are 4 candidates who have announced for the mayor's position. Mayor Wright announcing surprisingly several weeks ago that he's not going to run for another term. A number of people have qualified for city council positions, so there could be a new look in a number of positions in city government.
Oh, I think so, and I think maybe that's good in many ways. You know, I read, you know, Jimmy, I'm really big on little quotes and making visions and putting notes all over the house to do things. And I read one the other day that said, I think it was Woodrow Wilson that said, work with what you got where you're at. And I think we forget that we do still have a lot of amenities in this town, but we need to work at them. We need to clean up the town, for one thing. You know, before we bring somebody in here asking them to put a business here, we need to make it look presentable. And there's many things that needs to be done, and I'm sure that the people in your audience will agree with that. But, you know, sometimes you got to have somebody to get behind that horse-driven team and say, we got to do this. And I have no problem with getting people to do stuff. It's really difficult to tell me no.
This is a money.
You know that,
oh
don't you,
yes,
Jimmy?
I do, and Hunter knows it too. But a number of issues that our city faces, including, you know, monies that we had 10, 15 years ago aren't there any longer to use.
That's true. And I know that it's not going to be an easy job. It will probably be the hardest job that I've ever done if I get elected, but I'm up to it. You know, I don't take on anything that I don't feel like I've been led to do and that I can do, that I can accomplish. You know, I think about the mighty oak It was just a little acorn when it first started. But I feel like that is a symbol of Sylacauga. We may be a little acorn right now, and we may have a lot of hardships going on, but we can become the mighty oak, and we have been the mighty oak. But we can't live in the past. We've got to go in the future. We've got to make some changes.
Of course, you have been at numerous city council meetings and know what's on the table with the city council's decisions and things like that. What do you see in the next 4 years, if elected, that we certainly need to address in the city?
Well, first of all, when you mention the city council, I think that they all have a position. They're running to be a public servant, and they are going to be a public servant. But this is something that I think the citizens do not realize, that when you elect someone, they're at your discretion. But the key to that word is at your discretion. You need to tell them what you want. I hear a lot of people who talk, well, they didn't do this or they didn't do that. Did you tell them? Did you tell them that you want something done? Now, my councilman right now is also, I'm running against, but believe you me, he'd probably attest to the fact that I've written him email, I've called him many times and said, I want this or I want that, and most of the time I got it done. And I think that's where a lot of citizens go wrong, is that they just don't ask. But also the fact that when they go to the city council meetings, they don't feel like they're listened to. And they're angry by the time they get down there. And the time to take care of it is before then, is to talk to your councilman. Elect somebody that you really, really feel like you can talk to.
Claira Curtis, our guest this morning. Claira, candidate for the mayor's position, Sylacauga, in the August 28th election. It's some time out yet, but the pieces of the puzzle are beginning to come together as far as candidates are concerned. If elected to the mayorship position, you mentioned no absolute promises, but some people believe that we can just snap our fingers and get new industry in, we can get new restaurants in, some of these chain restaurants. It just doesn't work that way in short order, though.
No, and it doesn't, and I understand that. I mean, but I do think that there are ways that we could go about recruiting. And as you know, Jimmy, I spent 21 years in a field where you had to recruit. I recruited representatives in 12 states, as well as I recruited host families to take an extra mouth in their family to host a child. As a matter of fact, our present day mayor had one of my students once upon a time. So there are ways to do it, and I feel that I have the ability to recruit. I think I have the ability to persuade, but you got to get out there to do it. You can't sit in the chambers and expect it to get done if you're not willing to do it. And that will be one of my moves, is not just for me to do it, but there will be city councilmen that have to do the same thing. But in this town alone, there's credibility for many people who know businesses out there that we could go out and try to recruit. Statistics say 1 out of 10 you'll get, or you'll get some type of survey done by them. We have to do that. You know, there are ways. Yesterday I was looking on one of the websites for our environmental group, and they were asking in Birmingham for a survey of what they wanted to see in a change. How long has it been in this town since someone asked you, what do you want to see? What do you want to change? We have no vision. We have no direction. We don't know where we want to go. You know, other than the fact that we want jobs. Well, so does 67 other counties in every place in the United States. But we've got to start somewhere. If it's just a job that employs 10 people, but they also have to be environmental friendly for me. I'm sorry, the business of just bringing somebody in to have jobs, if they're not going to take care of our town, if they're not going to take care of our area, then we don't need them. And that's called a needs assessment. And that's something that I had asked the county commissioners, do you have a needs assessment? And they didn't know what I was talking about. I said, well, other counties in this state do have a needs assessment, and I would like to see Talladega County do the same. We would not have had to suffer for the last 5 years had there been a needs assessment. And as you know, we just got a new law passed protecting the citizens of the state for that. And I'd like to thank all the members of POET for all their hard work and pushing that bill for Representative Johnson.
Speaking of Representative Johnson, you ran for that position some years ago, and so you're no stranger to the ins and outs of running a campaign.
No, and I'm not a mudslinger. Just because I ran against Representative Johnson does not mean that I don't like him, and that I have asked him for many things in the past. And as I said, we just got that bill passed, and I'm excited about that because that's the one and the only environmental bill that was passed in the state of Alabama this past legislative session. So that's pretty good, not only for Representative Johnson, but for our group that helped push it through. But I don't believe in mudslinging. Like as you said, there's 4 candidates. I don't have anything against them. I like them all, but I'm going to run against them also because I think that I can do as good or better job, and that's the reason that I'm running.
2 points with Claira Curtis this morning for the next few moments. The paving project that we're just in the process of completing, a little over $1 million, 1.3 or so paving in the city of Sylacauga, but we still have many unkept streets, and there's no money to fix them.
That's true, and we have to understand that it's got to go at a slow process, and until we bring some more money into this city, then that's the way it's going to be. But we can do that. We can bring in more money. It may be small and it may be little. Like I said, the Mighty Oak was once an acorn, but we can start. And I think that's the direction and the vision that I would have, not only just for myself, but for those people that are out there in the audience that's looking for hope, looking for a change. That's all I can promise you. I cannot promise you that I'm going to have these roads fixed in the next 4 years. I'm not going to promise you that you're going to be making $20 an hour. But I will tell you this, we'll take a step in the 4 years that I work there, and we'll make an indention in that step.
The Sportsplex idea has been revived in recent weeks, and there's a group that's getting together some ideas to present to the Sylacauga City Council to further that. We've heard about a Sportsplex in our city for a long time, but never have reaped any rewards from it.
Well, let's go back to when I was talking about the women in this town and about the group of young ladies that decided they wanted better parks. Where did they get that money? They got out and they hustled it. That's the only word you can say, hustled it. They were go-getters because they had a vision. If they really want a sportsplex in this town, there's money sitting out there in grants and all kinds of things, but it's called work hard. We've forgotten how to work hard in this country. We've had it given to us for so long that people have forgotten how to work hard, and it's hard. And we've raised an entire generation that thinks that it just sort of hangs in there and falls out of the sky. Well, it doesn't. Everything I've ever had in my life, I've had to work hard for, and I appreciate it. I appreciate my parents who taught me how to work hard too.
Well, the hard work is just beginning. You've got a campaign to run, and be a lot of handshaking and door knocking and meeting a lot of people again. Maybe you haven't talked to in quite some time. What are you going to tell these people?
That the only thing I can bring us is hope and a new vision. That's it. I do not make any promises. I am not going to be sitting before them 4 years from now and say, well, I promised this and I promised that and I didn't produce it. All I can tell you is that I will work hard. I will try every avenue that I have. My past record on everything that I've ever done has been successful. And I have produced because I don't give 100%, I give 110%. I have listened to Mayor Wright, and as I said, I do not mudsling. I praise him for even taking the step, because we have a lot of people in this town that could be the mayor of our town. They have the ability to do it, but they will not take that step to do it. They will not give up their own personal life for public service. It's not an easy thing to do, to be a public servant, because everybody don't like you, and that's okay.
If elected and you could accomplish one thing as mayor that would be a wow factor, what would it be?
Well, you know, that's really a hard question right there. One thing, because I never set my goals really too much on one thing. For this town, we have so many things that we need that you won't believe this, I guess, because I am a believer, and I believe that if you really want something, you write it down. Well, I got lists all over my house, but I started a list when I decided last week that I would become a candidate for the mayor, of the things that we really need. And I probably already have about 6 or 7 on there. And they're baby steps, but they will be accomplished. I can assure you they will, and I offer them to anybody that would like to look at them. Even if I'm not elected, I feel like that the candidacy that I'm trying to approach will be beneficial to everybody, because somebody's going to listen to me regardless of whether I'm the mayor or whether I'm just a candidate. People are going to listen to you. If you make enough racket and you make people believe in you, they'll do what you ask them to do.
Claira Curtis, our guest this morning. Claira, candidate for the mayor's position in Sylacauga in the municipal elections coming up in late August. And some closing thoughts with Claira. A lot of people watching around the city this morning that are voters, and obviously there's quite a time length now between before the election, but if you could say one thing to people who are going to be selecting city council representatives and the mayor in August, what would it be?
I would simply say that stop griping, go vote. Not just for me, not for just any of the other candidates, but go vote. That is your God-given privilege in the United States of America. And if you don't go vote, you have no right to complain the next 4 years. But if you care, if you really would like to see Sylacauga, because like I said, I want to be the leader. The leader is the horse that harnesses the team. The team is the citizens of Sylacauga. It's your choice. If you don't go and mark your ballot, then you're going to get 4 years from now the exact same thing that you griping about now. That's it.
Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for allowing me to come and be a part of your show and to speak to the citizens of Sylacauga and ask you to please have pride in our town. It has been one of the towns to be appreciative of. We can go back and be that again.
More on Daybreak in a minute.